Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah,
All right, here we go as we look at the calendar. It is the month of November, and we are officially in the final 4 weeks of the... Turn the right thing down here. Good grief. Turning myself down instead of the music. Anyways, the final 4 weeks of the regular season, or the playoffs, I should say, for the season, as we get you ready from the Diamond in the Desert, Avondale, Arizona, aka Phoenix Raceway, right outside the great city of Phoenix, is the site for tonight's race, round number 33 of the championship season, and of course also known as the second race of 5 in the championship 10 series here at Phoenix Raceway. I'm the captain. We welcome you in as well. My usual guest is here, kinda, sorta. I won't break the secrets out, but I'll let you know Kevin England is here. He's in the desert. He's ready to have some fun. He's on a horse with no name, but he is also ready to rock and roll here this evening at Phoenix. And this track's been through so many configurations, Kev, and needless to say, this one here is a one that drivers, some like, some hate, but it is definitely bringing the drama.
Yeah, you know, this is the type of racetrack when I look at it and I say, sometimes I like this racetrack and other times I wish they'd fill it with water, as the famous quote goes. And to your point, it's a love-hate relationship. Pit road, very interesting on this racetrack. Getting into the corners, getting off the corners, cactus over there. This reconfiguration is something that a lot of drivers can't figure out, Chris. When they drive around the racetrack, they can't determine whether entering turn 1 or turn 4 or turn 3. They're lost ever since the reconfiguration, and who could blame them? They're racing on the apron, they're racing down off the racetrack half the time, and it's really a confusing racetrack for a lot of drivers.
They have done everything they can to make this track as raceable as possible, and that includes flipping the track as we get a little bit of shade here as qualifying is underway, as Cal and Tony going to be the first to run a lap at 28:32. You are going to see some unorthodox lines here during qualifying. I say that because some of the ways that they were throwing away their first lap and going to their second lap, I mean, you have drivers, let's see if they, as we get closer to the second lap here, if any car goes up here. Look at Pedro here. He cuts away from Pedro, of course, but Pedro goes up there and he is literally going to cut the car down and make that straightaway as long as possible and as short as possible. That
just misses the end of that wall over there.
Right.
Yeah, it really is crazy the way you race this racetrack. And let me tell you, you come off that racing surface to the flat, and it's nothing, not even close to flat. No. It is so abrupt that it can disrupt the car, but yet speed can be found down there, so drivers do what they got to do because they want to go fast.
And that's not just on the bottom part of that track either. It is on just any part of the track that you can get grip on and go. And this dog leg tonight is going to be, surprisingly, I say that sarcastically, the spot to watch tonight. And I've been told by drivers that a new quote-unquote bump, if you will, has made an appearance on this track. And it's not really a bump as much as it is the transition of the surface, basically, from where you go into the dog leg. If you are about, I've been told, right above the seam, in the middle of the dog leg, and when I say the seam, I mean on the track, up about a groove, there's apparently the transition there upsets the car on cold tires and will spin you out. So that is going to be something to watch if we have restarts tonight, and so on and so forth. Right now, David Comstock on the pole. You see Tyler Dalton on track right now, and I think he's waving the white flag already because he just pulled off very slowly off turn 2. I think. Maybe he's still going. I'm just not used to that kind of speed, but
it did look rather awkward. I
it
agree
did,
with
right?
you.
The way
He's
he came off
hustling it
turn
up out of the corner there, so we'll see where it comes to. Not any faster.
Yeah.
4th fastest right now.
Took it very shallow off, too. And I don't know if that was the diamond, maybe. See, look at it again. He comes off pretty low there, almost straightening the corner.
You can enter high into that corner and then drive down and get straight off and carry a lot of speed, which is, I think, what he was attempting to do there.
I'm also hearing that drivers are going to be tested tonight when it comes to passing on the low side, especially over there in that turn 1 and 2 area. Apparently, the bottom groove not really as fast as usual, which I found is an interesting concept there. So I think with the way this track is slick tonight, with the way that it's going to race, I think track position is going to mean everything really quickly off the start.
And right now, I think that is mission number 1 for these guys as Tyler continues to circle the racetrack. And they are looking for laps, and they're looking for speed, and they're looking for... They really need a decent starting spot. It is so hard to climb around anybody at this racetrack. To make 1 or 2 passes, 3 passes, even as we saw in the real world yesterday, it's complicated in this car trying to get the speed. Love the reflection of the light coming off the front of the nose there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Qualifying, of course, presented by 811. No, it's below. Call before you dig. Appreciate what 811 has done all of the season long, all the way from February to now, and even the last couple of seasons over on the Grand National side. So appreciate those guys, as always. As we go into the warm-up session, these guys get a quick minute to do whatever they got to do, including practice their pit road entry and more. But a big shout-out to 811 for the pole award. Point standings as we enter this evening. After one playoff race, Pedro Mojica went out and got the win. Chad Coleman was not too far in tow. Only sits 5 points behind. Mike Kelly 7 behind. Tyler Dalton 8. Comstock 9. As you see, it is a tight battle. And when you get about 25 cars in a field, that leaves you with not much room to gain, basically, if you will. So when you see these 9 or 10 points, it's actually a big number when you look at the radius of the amount of drivers running. I don't know if that's the right vocabulary word, but I don't care. The ratio, I guess, would be the better way of saying it. When you only have 25 cars and you're 10 points back, you can lose more quicker than you'll gain those points. So you look at Joey Jatina, you look at Joe Hudson, Josh Parker. Those guys had a rough start last week in Charlotte, but now here at Phoenix, I think anything is possible when it is all said and done, as the field will grid here for the 140-lap race at the Phoenix Raceway here. And I'll take the starting lineup here for the race. David Comstock will be on the pole alongside Mike Kelly in the race. Comstock 27.59 on the pole. Chad Coleman in row number 2 alongside Tyler Dalton, Pedro Mojica, Tommy Ryan, your top 6. Tommy, the first of the drivers not in the playoffs. Matter of fact, 7 of the top 8, all playoff drivers here in positions. Joe Hudson, Josh Parker there, row 4, row 5. Jose Gonzalez and Glenn Campbell. Joey Jatina, Robert Fryery III there in row number 6, row 7. Nelson Rivera and the faster pastor, Stoney Benfield, there in the 7th position. Bobby Wetzel and Seth Fowdy will have the Seth Cam tonight for you from the 16th position. Jeff Ryan, Anthony Calantoni, row 9, row 10, Wesley Donaldson and Doy Woods. Brian Macklin, who is fast in practice, we'll see if he can work that car up into the top 10 here in the short run, alongside Scott Simley, Doug Sigmund, Brian Wortman, and Gerald Livingston, the 25 starters that will start the race here this evening. Our information for tonight, as we mentioned, it's a 1 mile track. The start finish line is where that red line is into the dog leg. Of course, if you're a historian, you know the start finish line used to be over here in the middle of the back straightaway. 78 degrees. A cold front must have came through Phoenix. 56% humidity, partly cloudy skies, 2-mile-an-hour winds, 140 laps tonight to make up this race. 103, by the way, the track temperature. Are we ready?
Nervous time for these guys.
Especially those who had the bad run at Charlotte. Now they got the pressure of doing it again and trying to survive here at Phoenix. Green flag is out. Race 2 of 5 underway.
A lot of drivers opting to stay up on the racetrack. Not a lot of them cutting that. And the early going right now, you're just trying to see if you could keep yourself clean. Make sure you have situational awareness of who's around you as Comstock. Out to the back straightaway with Mike Kelly to the outside. Kelly noses ahead. Can he carry the momentum in and lead lap number 1? I think it's going to be Comstock to the front.
At the line, Comstock barely as he cuts it down there. Our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. They're online on Facebook and on the iRacing forum. Somebody is that Macklin back there to make a save on at their website at, of course, TrackCams22.com. Got some cars getting sideways back here. Jatina, Nelson Rivera.
One car slips and slides. Other cars have to take evasive action. Good news for them is 3, 4, 5 lanes sometimes over there in the corner as they roar through this dog leg. Some drivers brave enough to go down and one sideways.
I see smoke again.
Maybe the 19.
Might have been Dalton. He's fallen back to 7th, fallen back to 8th. And Tyler was one of the drivers I talked to that said that you got to be very careful through that dog leg. But you see Gonzalez has gone by, and now that Exxon Mobil number 51 with some, as one driver pointed out, some pretty cool rims on that 51 car. That being Joe Hudson.
Yeah, a couple drivers venturing down there. There's a patch down below the start-finish line, just past the cactus. One car up in the wall over there.
Stoney, Jeff Ryan in the wall over here. Yep, the 3 car has pancaked it right side first as he's going to keep going. And
I believe he has some pretty serious damage, maybe wheel damage, and he's going to end up stopping and taking that tow to the pits.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there you go.
Friery, look out. What a miss. And then Stoney gets tagged a little bit and does a good job staying off of Jeff. Code Brown moment for the 77 car.
So we can't even get to the point of talking about how treacherous it is over there. If you come down onto, wow, holy cow, that was close. That made me flinch. If you come down on that apron and you don't hit that transition right, the car will do exactly what you just saw. Shoot up across the racetrack. It gets unsettled. You have to know how to drop off the racetrack at the exact right spot in order to find the balance where the car falls off the banking there and goes to the flat. You can make speed that way, but every once in a while, Chris, you go down there, you hit it exactly right, and the car will step out and go crazy. And for that reason, a lot of drivers are choosing to stay up on the racetrack now.
That was going to be my exact follow-up. It's why not just stay on the track then? Go to the safer position. I think
there's speed down there.
Well, yes, I risk reward. I mean, lap 130, okay, I understand. Lap 7, there's no understanding. There's no explaining.
I agree with you.
You know, it goes back to I remember many of those NIS races back in the Gen 6 car, in the car trying to transition, like right there where Wesley's going down there, and it's like, just don't even go down there. Don't go down there. It's dark.
Don't go down there. It's dark.
I was waiting on that.
This is one of those things, though, that psychologically you come off the corner, off the backstretch, down into the corner, you get to the Geico restart zone, and you have such a run on the car in front of you. And you realize that if you take that shortcut, you can actually draw alongside of them and have the preferred line down into the corner. And so drivers will look at the situation available to them and say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop off the racetrack and we're going to go down there by pit road. And by the time I come back to the racetrack, I'll be to their door. And that pass, the thing that I want so badly, because I followed this car for about 6 laps and finally got the track position, I could take advantage of it, but it's complicated, you know.
It is, and to add to that, that's part of the practice. If you've run practice and you ran the whole entire session up above the yellow line, I wouldn't attempt going down there because you're putting yourself down at somewhere where you did not get a chance to even feel out the car. Where, you know, obviously if you ran down there a lot in practice, you kind of know what's coming and that kind of thing. Because you got to remember, you got transitions, multiple down there. You got a car that bottoms out very easily. So you've got to take it very meticulously, shall I say. Onto that section of the track is we ride with Glenn Campbell. One thing you will catch tonight is there's no fifth gear being used. A lot of drivers are fourth gear throughout this track, which kind of shocks me a little bit because I think fifth gear might actually help you drive off because of the lower gearing, but it will hurt you a little bit speed-wise. I think in the long run, why not try fifth gear to help you with the wheel spin?
Yeah, you could see here that they were driving up a lane, which is a change. Most of the time they were down there on the bottom of the flat, even dropping those left side wheels on that transition in order to help the car turn. But they have found that speed is up in that second lane. As you see them come across here, they also used to drop down left side wheels at the start finish line below the yellow line, as these two running down there on that bottom lane. But they don't do that either because that tends to unsettle the car. So this next gen car on this configuration of the track, it is tricky and you have to find a new way.
There's Ward Coleman, or Chad Burton, whatever you want to call him, inside of the 81 of Parker. A little bit of damage on that right side. Am I seeing right above the wheel well there on the right? That Caterpillar look a little messed up.
Yeah, hard to say as it flashes by, but the 81 did execute the pass, and there was the instance where Chad did take the apron but didn't get through there well enough, and Coleman actually, or Parker actually came away with it.
I guess a good shot of the right rear. It's like the one car, part of the car that's not touched. Yeah, it looks okay there.
I noticed the left front was up in the air in that one shot. Did you see that?
That might be part of the setup.
Yeah, it almost felt like it was picking up the nose on the left side going through the corner.
Which would mean you're probably driving off the rear of the car, I'm guessing.
Soft right suspension lets the car roll over and picks up that nose. Everybody kind of single filed out here right now. It's early in the run. We're still in early days, so to speak. We're only about 10% through the race. They're trying to take care of their tires because, well, if it gets single filed out like this, it is possible that you're going to go for a long green flag run as they're staring at the sun coming down the backstretch, I believe.
Yeah, well, thankfully the grandstands are there. But, yeah, to add to your point there, we could be looking at a one-stop race. All you gotta do is get to lap 70, and it's a one-stop race here. And I think easily on fuel you can go 85 to 90 laps. It's the tires that have been the question throughout most of the season, not only in this car, but anything in that next-gen car, is how far they can go with the Goodyears.
I have to say the tire wear didn't seem that bad at this racetrack. I put in a couple hundred laps this week, and
624?
Even if you feel like you're at the end of a run, you're down 80, 70, 60% tire wear, depending on how hard you, especially that right front. Car still felt pretty secure to me.
Which is good. And that's, I think, part of the wide radius of the tire. You know, of course, the was it 18-inch width of the tire, which it was, I think, used to be 15. But the impressive part here is that you got a car that there's really not a lot of speed in it when it comes to a flat track like this. But look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all within 2 seconds right now of each other and almost able to draft up on each other. And the aero not really playing too bad of a role on them.
You look at the way these drivers are performing here. top two have stayed lockstep, 1-2, but Josh Parker came up 5 positions, and Brian Macklin's come up to 11th, up 10 positions, and there really hasn't been that big of a drop or gain except for that incident with the 3. So everybody kind of running check where they started, and that gives credence to what we were talking about, Chris, where you start is super important. It's very difficult to execute a pass here.
Now, I do want to go back to something because I think I'm going to verify this really quickly before I make the full comment, because I remember part of the beginning of that race, it looked like Brian Macklin actually went backwards before coming forward here. But as I'm seeing this, it looks like, yeah, as you mentioned, he started in the 22nd position as the green came out. There's the green. I'm just looking at the highlights real quickly here. And gonna get 17th. Looks like he fell back to 19th. So yeah, so he's been gaining the whole time. It's not like he went like back to 25th and then rolled back through the field. As Parker inside of Kelly for second right there.
Yeah, I wonder if Kelly just felt the pressure and decided to let him go. It did almost look like he pulled up. You see these drivers drop down on that apron. If they hit it right, the car just flattens out and they can drive down through, and then there's a spot, a sweet spot where you go through the opposite reaction of trying to get back up to the racetrack. And if you hit that one spot right, it drives cleanly up. It's worse getting off the racetrack down to the apron over there.
Well, I think part of that is there's no, I guess what would be forward drive with the car, because you're going down there into a flatter surface and you're trying to get the forward drive off so you can cut around the corner. But instead, you're just sliding, and your rear end, there's just no drive at all. And it just causes you to get all types of sideways. So, yeah, I know you see a little bit of that like in yesterday's race and even Saturday's Wild Xfinity race and the iRacing event that happened Friday night known as the truck race.
Yeah, Demo Derby.
Can I say that? I don't mean it as a diss to iRacing. I'm just more like looking at the way they were racing would look like us out there. And not only in the series, I mean like you and me. I'll shut up now.
Pedro looking underneath Chad Coleman, just kind of signaling to him that he's ready to go. Takes a little peek. If I had my druthers, I'd plant grass all the way down this front straightaway.
Well, remember, there used to be grass here.
I know. They ought to put it back.
If you watched Friday's broadcast I had here, we ran the old Phoenix track in the Cup car in the Gen 4. And I was reminiscing like how just smooth the track was on the back straightaway then. How you could just come off turn 2. And as we get a lead change, as two drivers that actually were not too thrilled with each other at Charlotte last week. Parker and Comstock switched the lead. Parker to the front. If you go back and watch the broadcast, you'll see me on board with Comstock as they're going down the back straightaway, I think it is, and I'm like, man, they're probably having fun pushing each other or whatever here, and found out from one driver to the other, it was the total opposite.
Yeah, they were not exchanging Christmas cards at that moment.
Which shocked me, because I'm like, man, these guys are always having fun.
I see Jose Gonzalez continues to drop off the banking. He's got the right entry and exit points, as you see. The car seems to be carrying the speed down there. And I still find it interesting, if you watch the leader up a lane, everybody else has come back down to the yellow line. So you might even see them, dare I say, if they don't get through the corner well, they have the option to drop down a gear.
Yeah.
They don't usually do it. It really torques the motor, but if they really mess up or they're late in a run, you might see them drop from 4th to 3rd.
Which, again, the biggest difference to the real-life car in the iRacing, when it comes to this car, again, and there's probably plenty of factors I'm not thinking of right off the moment, but this one I always bring up. When you downshift in this next-gen car in real life, it actually helps with the handling and drives the car off the corner. In iRacing, it is still, because of the settings and the coding and stuff like that, when you downshift, it spins the tires because you're shifting down a gear, higher revs. Where again in real life, it's like, oh, please do that more. Downshift, and you can get off the corners and stuff like that. So that's one thing that is still, I'm sure, a work in progress on the iRacing side to try to get is when we downshift, which, again, I think I joined the minority of people that, or majority, that's the word I'm looking. My English is great tonight. The majority of people that want shifting out of this car.
Side-by-side battle there. The 26 finally got a good run down underneath. Tried to get underneath, but unable to get to Pedro. Lost it over there in turns 1 and 2, but was able to draw alongside for a period of time. Now, Chad Coleman down underneath the 2. He went to the apron to try and get that little extra
wrong button.
And he's going to make that pass. Chad Coleman goes in front of him, and Mike Kelly drives around him on the outside.
You see Coleman get in there. It looked like Coleman got tight as you saw the right side of his car kind of get closer and closer to that 2 cars. Kelly gives him the room there inside. Look at Kelly fight that car. Fly swatter.
Car gets loose coming up there to the cactus. You could see it sometimes when you come off there and you jam the throttle to try and break away from the guy. The car will step out and you just steer it to the right, drive through it. You could see his body English on the wheel. It really does translate. That's pretty amazing. When you're holding the wheel in front of you and you're turning, that orange tape moves exactly to the same way that the wheel is that you physically have in your hands.
So you know what I'm seeing in the car right now. Watch his hands here, and I'm going to explain it. You're going through the dog leg here, coming back on the track. You're going to see loose in. Watch the wheel go right. Then you're going to see tight center. Turns wheel left.
Turn.
Loose off. Back to straight, turning right. That's right there.
There's the right. Yeah.
That's your loose in, tight off, or tight center, loose off.
That's where you swing the car up to the outside fence and you pick your spot and hope that when you get there, the car straightens out and the wheels are fully connected to the track and they give you that forward drive that you're looking for.
Now, I don't know if necessarily the loose in is coming from the car as much as it might be the brakes, that pressure that the guys are using. Because you get that brake, it makes the rear end go into yaw, as you like to explain, and turn the car into the corner.
Brake bias at this racetrack, where you said it, makes a big difference as to how the car hooks to the left when you step on the brake. And a lot of these drivers have a command where they can, like a real driver, dial up the brake bias a little bit, down, up, whichever way they want it, in order to make the car turn better, or if the car is pushing not turn so well. It's one of those things, about the only thing you can control. But you know, once, I don't know, Chris, when drivers were talking about this week about whether they should be changing the steering ratio, most of them left the default steering ratio in, meaning how far the wheels turn when you turn the actual steering wheel. A lot of times the default one just, it was the right thing, and a lot of times when you get to a different racetrack, drivers are always tweaking that.
Oh, contact! Fryer in the Macklin, who locks it down, saves the car. We're going to stay green.
Wow.
It looked like Macklin had to get out of it there for a second, and Fryer just had the momentum.
That was just one of those where we saw it in Mike Kelly's car before. You're coming off the corner, and as the car starts to step out, you turn a little bit to the right to catch the car. If you get tagged in that moment, which is exactly where he was, then he's going to slide sideways, and that was a heck of a save by Brian Macklin.
Yeah, beautiful job of just locking the car down, keeping it out of the wall, keeping it from bringing the caution out. It's a tough break because his left front is roasted. But, you know, hey, good to live another day than to be behind the wall and unfortunately finishing in the 24th position right now, as we do have one car behind the wall. But let's see if we can watch the 30 car here as he goes into the corner. This must have been a lap before or something like that. So anyways, he had lost the position to Campbell.
Yeah, the 77 was down underneath on the entry to that corner that we just saw there. So he was definitely applying the pressure.
Yeah, right there. He's got his nose looking. Plenty of room here. Macklin
Slides up a little high, opens the bottom lane, turns down across him.
Yeah, I wonder if Macklin got loose there.
I think he just turned down and they met in the middle.
Yeah, because it looked
Isn't
like
that a song?
you
Meet
know,
me in the middle.
well, there's plenty of versions. You got the Diamond Rio, Meet Me in the Middle, or in the middle. You've got Jimmy Eat World, right? The middle. You got,
Da-na-na-na-na.
right.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
And meanwhile, let's go back over to third because we've got ourselves a hornet's nest. Pedro Mojica, Jose Gonzalez, Chad Coleman, Mike Kelly, Tyler Dalton, Glenn Campbell, Robert Fryery. It's like Daytona at Phoenix right now.
Parker gone.
Yeah, he gone and
Comstock still hanging on. Drove out, got a little clean air. Pedro coming. Jose coming. Chad slipping, and Kelly probably ran a little bit too hard in the get-go, and he's back to 6.
yeah, these guys all fighting pretty hard here, and I think the 91 back there, Wesley Donaldson, wants to get a part of this, but something we want to get a part of is the 811 people. Those great people, a part of the broadcast. And let's step away for a quick second, hear a word from them as you're watching Chase race number 2 of the round of 10, the championship 10, if you will, as you're watching the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
Back we are here at Kansas. Yeah, no, we're at Phoenix, nowhere near Kansas. It's Jose Gonzalez to the inside of Pedro Mojica here. The pass for third. Right there, give it to the 26. So one of these rare situations where, and I think I know what's happening here. Just because I've learned the, not that I know what Pedro's thinking, but just the way he is, the way his driving style is. He always thinks his way to the right position. And what I mean by this, Kev, is Mojica's probably thinking of lap 70. What do I got to do to get to lap 70?
Yep.
Back off, let Jose Gonzalez go. Let David Comstock go. Let
That
Josh
was
Parker
the pass
guys
that only
go.
took 25 laps to execute.
That is true. But knowing Pedro, he's running his own pace. And he's saying, you know what? You guys can outrun me all you want to. I'm going to make it on one stop, and I'm going to make sure I have the tires to get there to do it.
I'll tell you, those Dolphins are swimming pretty fast here tonight. He's got a good mount underneath him, and if he's got the speed right now through this segment, he might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah, Jose's always been one of the fast ones, but Parker obviously has pulled away 3 seconds over Comstock, and then another second back to Gonzalez. And then this mess here is Wesley about caught the wall off of turn 2. I about called it 4. And Fryery's going to get the inside lane into the corner.
Wesley up 9 positions from his start. Right behind him, Scott Simley. As Kelly drops back to 11th, Simley running 12th. He's up 10 positions too. So some of these drivers starting to make a little headway on the long run. Maybe they took care of their stuff in the early going. And given these little clusters of tight cars, if you can get in and get underneath and have a good car, you can get a couple cars right in one fell swoop there.
As we ride on board the Seth Cam got it going on here. Foudy driving he's in the number 170. And if you look at his car, he's got the 1 and the 7 in bold, like, font. And then you look up, there's like the 0 looks like it's the degrees marker in the number. And I have to be honest here for a second. Is anyone seeing shades of like a Brett Moffitt over there driving right now? Or maybe a Jeffrey Earnhardt, the way he looks? He's got the mustache going there. Got the...
Yeah. With the gloves going.
Right? As Brian Macklin's on pit road. So this is lap 50. So here we go. Remember that I was talking earlier about Pedro's going to lap 70. This might be the other side of it here. Peyton at lap 50 and making it I'm guessing 2-stop race on tires?
If you hit this strategy right and there's a late caution, this could really pay off dividends for you. We'll see how much faster he is as we look at the lap times when he comes back out. Right now, drivers running somewhere around what 28, 29-second lap, somewhere in the middle there.
Well, something happened to Comstock, I've noticed, because Gonzalez has gone by him. And last lap by, he ran a 29.73. So something happened.
Well, it just might be that jackrabbit run out in the beginning.
Yeah, maybe you're right, because I see Gonzalez go to the inside here, and he's just going to make the pass for a second there. I thought Macklin had a bigger, or I'm sorry, Comstock had a bigger lead at that point. And that turns out not to be the case here. So
When we talk about how the drivers run the track, whether they run the bottom, whether they run the top, another thing that needs to be discussed is how hard they charge the corners. If they drive the car in hard, they're going to show a lot of tire wear as Hudson to pit road. And if they drive the car off, then maybe they'll be better on the long run. And we have no idea how hard some of these drivers are charging it.
well, I did overhear again some drivers tonight talking about when they're in these cars, especially, again, remember, you don't have much of a spoiler in the back. A lot of them were sending it on the straightaway into the corner, if that makes sense. Instead of braking in corner, they were braking and then into the corner, almost like a road course.
Well, the brake, as we were talking about, especially with the bias, slows the car down and makes it turn left. And you're not using the tires to turn in and scrubbing the tires across the racetrack. But sometimes that's not the fast way around until you get on the long run. Then all of a sudden you start, it's kind of like my way, his way. You know what I mean?
Look at the lap times right here. No, absolutely. Look at the lap times here. You can almost see who are saving tires. You got Gonzalez back here ran a 14, Tommy Ryan at 11. Back here at 8th, Robert Fryery the third was the fastest car to track that lap, not of those who didn't pit, with a 29.05.
Yeah, a couple of these drivers out in the back, a 21.7 for Mike Kelly.
21 when you're running Indy cars?
I'm sorry, 29.7. Yeah.
I mean, fastest lap at Phoenix in an open wheel is like a 19, I think.
Well, let's just see how this goes. You could do the Brian Wertman and run 30-second laps, but never change tires in the whole race.
Brian,
See how that nets you out.
This isn't the 1950 Southern 500, Brian. Let's go.
It's got the tractor tires on.
Right? Trends, though. I do want to look at that, because I know this is something we seem to get into every week, is the pit strategies that people do. I think the more favorable trend is the pitting only once. It's very rare to see that unless cautions play out, which right now, I mean, we don't see any kind of looking one coming, though anything can happen at any time. When a race is green like this, it's normally the one stopper that works.
Yeah, I think you give just too much up. The only thing you're doing is playing the odds. If something happens where you find the caution at the right place, you're going to look like a savant. But most of the time, that's not how it goes. Now, this race tends to run green through halfway, and then somewhere in the middle, you'll find a caution. And by my experience, then you'll have a handful of cautions all the way to the end. You won't run green to the finish. Could be wrong. Never know, right? Because every one of these things is like a unicorn. Right. They're all different, but this looks like it's going to run green until pit stops, and then we'll see where the rest of the second half comes.
See, this is one of those things, too. I think there's another factor you can bring into this is the amount of times the series runs a track a season. This is not the first time we've run Phoenix this season. Of course, you go back to mid-March when Mike Kelly won this race to be in the first time they ran this race. So you get out there, you run laps, you get yourself, into a rhythm, and you figure out the right tire strategy. And I think another piece of research you could use if you're out here is you go back to the Phoenix race of the spring, and you could kind of look at notes and be like, okay, this strategy worked in this race, so if this happens, I could do this or that. Well, let me throw this number at you right now, because right already off the bat, I see a big difference here. The Phoenix spring race had 10 cautions.
Yeah.
We're at 0 right now. So where I'm going with that is obviously you had plenty of opportunities to pit in that race. Brian Macklin led 49 laps. Mike Kelly ended up winning in what was a straight-up finish. 6 leaders, 10 lead changes. Tonight, 140 laps in this race. And with the green flag look, I mean, I think the obvious, as Mike Kelly, ironically, is on pit road at
Go to
lap
pit
62.
road, yeah.
So he's marking on going, looks like 78 laps to the finish. But the windows here is open. It's like, come on, get your tires down, go to the finish.
I was looking at Macklin as to whether or not he was going to be a lap down, and at some point, you know, he was looking at. He was the lucky dog, and Joe Hudson was behind him. Now with the 2 down, I'm wondering how that's going to play out as to. There you go.
And not sure where it is. First caution, it's Bobby Wetzel in the 9 car. Heavy damage to the right side. And that just changed a few people's races.
Hey, you know, you wonder, and this is always the interesting reaction. Do you groan or do you cheer? Some drivers are going to go one way and other drivers are going another.
I'm pretty sure there are some expletives coming out of 3 or 4 of their mouths. Meanwhile, the rest of them are like, oh, sweet, a break. As here they come to pit road. And I was reminded there's actually a glitch right now in this sim that I'll explain here in a second at this track that I think these drivers got to be careful of if a caution comes out. But first, let's cover the pit stops here, as I'll let you guess who stays out and leads a lap.
Mm-hmm. Brian, of course.
For those who guessed Brian Wortman, congratulations.
Let's see what kind of pit service these guys get. Jose's right on the ball there. His car looks like he's going to be set up.
Everybody 4 tires and fuel.
There you
Gonzalez
go.
fires. And going to win the race off pit road. Parker.
Outstanding work by that 26.
You know, and it wasn't even Parker actually had the fastest stop. The difference, though, is the second 1.4 seconds that Jose and Josh had on pit road. So let's see.
Parker had to back up just a
There's your
touch.
answer.
But, yep, and the 26 locked it down quickly and got us stop in the box with just as flawless as textbook as you could be.
That's why you pit practice. Let's go.
You're supposed to practice?
I mean, it is overrated,
so
apparently.
bad.
It's practice.
Huge
All right,
boxes here, though, right?
Decent sized, yeah. So Wetzel behind. Oh, he gets. Oh, no. Loses
yeah,
and then just
that.
knocks the
I did
wall
that
down.
this week. That's where you come off the corner and the car starts to pitch out a little bit and you need to steer to the right. And if the car goes a little too far, yep, that's your loose. Oh, just didn't catch it fast enough.
He's got the wheel turn too much there, maybe?
Well, you know what? The challenge lies more with the steering ratio. Sometimes you set the steering ratio so you could drive yourself out of that. And other times, in order to save the tires, you set the steering ratio so the car is kind of sluggish turning in and you don't grind the right front as you turn in. And if you run the steering ratio that's a little less responsive, you can't correct it. You can't find it.
Which is true. Very true statement there. And it's something you always got to keep an eye on. So let's talk to someone. Or are we going green? No, we're going green. I was going to say let's talk to somebody, but you see Gerald Livingston, Brian Macklin, and 2 or 3 others going to take the wave around here. Hello to Barbara Pinion and Kip Cook, by the way, watching on the stream. I usually get my hellos out to those guys. But appreciate those for watching here on the stream. Hit that subscribe button. Oh, by the way, Kev, we're down to 15. 15 subscribers before we hit the big 1K.
Nice.
Let's
go.
I joked around. a few months ago. I said it took me all of like 6 months to get from 0 to 600. It's taken me what feels like 6 years to get from 600 to 1,000.
It's right around the corner.
It is there. You know what else is around the corner?
I'm going to phone some friends here.
There you go. The restart is right around the corner. And let's turn it up. Trouble turn number 2, the back straightaway. Josh Parker has spun it around. I don't see much damage on the 81. We saw, we were just talking about it. Let me turn the audio down here. We were just talking about it there for that split segment. We were like, oh my, 3 wide. Oh my, 4 wide. Oh my, they're about to wreck. And right on cue, they wrecked. That's just part of this track and the way this nature is of it now.
I just think Parker was hard on the throttle coming up out of the corner. Car broke loose, and he just never caught it. Cold tires, of course. See here, he got a little bump.
I think that's 2 cars at the same position. I think Gonzalez, you watch that replay again closely, it almost looks like that Gonzalez maybe a little shallow off of 2, and Parker went sliding up expecting him to have a little more room, and, well, as the rest of that Diamond Rio song says, I start walking your way, you start walking mine, we meet in the middle. Bam.
Meet me in the middle.
Is that Mojica or Campbell? That about Mojica about T-boned him.
Mojica, yeah. Good hands for Mojica, because that was an outstanding job. That could have easily been more cars involved in that. Although he had a front windshield full of that in the 58, just could see the whole thing. I don't know, the 26 is out a nose ahead. He really has probably lost track of where the 81 is. Knows he's down there, but he's going to run his exit.
Best way to judge a wreck when you're ever watching like this is watch the seams.
Coming up, coming up, coming up. Turning down, but not turning on the bottom. See, the 26 is out.
See, now Parker's coming back down. See the gap kind of growing there in the middle. And watch how Gonzalez just follows the track around here as Parker starts sliding up. So Parker's expecting, I mean, because let me stop here for a second. Parker's expecting Gonzalez to be up about another half a car.
Out against the wall, yeah. Yeah.
And damn, Comstock gets damaged too. Nice job by Pedro. And I think
but again, that's that spot coming up out of the corner, especially from the low groove, where as you're squeezing on the throttle, you're right on the edge of control.
So we have a
And I'm sure if you watch from the 58 and look at the 81 coming up off the corner, you could see that his car starts to step out.
Oh, you saw the restart. Okay. Let me, yeah, let's go to Pedro here real quick.
Right here.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it, but just ever so slightly the car stepped out. Whatever. That's the good hand.
That's a save. That's not an easy catch to make.
No. That's the one where you keep your foot in it and just keep driving through it. Well, cautions breed cautions.
That is a fact. As I'm trying to go back to the restart, apparently, Atomic Burrito's finally watching, apparently, again. And apparently Wesley pulled some kind of Alex Rossi restart here, so let's see. Or Kyle Busch, I guess you want to go with that one.
Kyle's usually
somebody didn't go. It looks like Campbell didn't go. And that opens the door for Wesley to drop it down into Tucson and pass like 3 or 4 cars.
I love that he's down on the apron. What do you do, Roger?
I mean, that probably helps him in the end there, because I mean, this is where you look at the situation here. On this restart, look who he's behind. He's behind Chad. So let's see where Chad actually ends up at the caution. I know exactly where he's going to be, but...
Yeah, the 44 just did not get a good restart.
Not at all.
Which is not difficult to do here, by the way.
No, so look at the mirror. There's Chad already, back there. So we're if Wesley does the start like if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, there's a car to his right. He's back behind 44. Chad. He could be in this wreck. But as they say, coulda, shoulda, woulda. As we're back to green, by the way. Turn one on, one wrecking again. Oh, look out, he was going to hit. It's Mike Kelly, the spring winner. And another playoff driver. And
look at that.
That hood's being net coated all over the place.
He's going to tow right away. That's what happens when they disappear. They call the tow car.
Now, obviously, I'm not sure how this all happened, but I'm sure that Mike is not a happy camper. So let's go back to this wreck now and show it. And sorry we missed a restart there. Felt the information was needed to be shared about those in that wreck and stuff. And here's the restart, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like they had been going for maybe a lap or so here. Good production on my end. Oh, Simley got... Oh my gosh, out of all of that, the three teammates. The 2, the 12, the 22. That is a budget eater right there for this team. So the 12 gets loose right in front of, right there. There's the back, you know what, there's that transition we talked about. And then Kelly squeezes up against the wall. I'm trying to see. Did he just go to avoid the 12? Is that what made this happen? No, he got loose.
He got loose also. And then tried to correct it, and there was no contact. That was very strange.
So once again, and this is where I talked to a few drivers earlier, they said this transition on a restart is very tricky right here. But watch, there is no contact here at all. First Simley.
He
right
comes
there,
up and
then
connects
Kelly gets
the wall.
bobbled. And then Rivera, nowhere to go, gets tagged by Macklin.
Wonder if he flinched and saw the car down below and wondered if it was coming across or something.
And then Jeff Ryan reached out and pulled his hood off. And now his hood's flipping out. You know what? Could this be the ultimate definition of netcode right here, if anybody ever wondered? Notice how the 9 car goes by. His hood's sitting there, hood's sitting there, hood's sitting there. Everything's good, right? And here comes the 9 by. Millions of feet away. No, it flips the lid. No pun intended.
It's a polar vortex or something.
Anyways, it's kind of caught that. That there is a money eater for the Turn 1 Heroes team. Might have to send Kevin down there for counseling sessions.
Yeah. It'll be okay, boys. So what was a fully green race has turned into a couple cautions here, and this starts to make some folks nervous, while other ones start to take advantage of it, right? We saw some drivers, we haven't even talked about them tonight. Look at Joey Chettina running in 10th right now.
Yeah. This might be the race that gets me fired.
Haven't talked about Calantoni. This is helpful for Josh Parker. It's going to bring him up to see if he can get recovered. We're not going to get you fired tonight. You just...
Well, I say that because, I mean, I did say a little bit ago that the spring race had 10 cautions. And we were under green the whole entire time. And from that point forward, we have now had 3 cautions in the last, 10 laps. It's almost like the track said, wait, 10 cautions? Hold my beer.
Do you remember the one race where... that was really eerie, the one race. We'd talk about a driver, and they wouldn't make it a lap and crash. And it happened like 12 days. We were sticking pins in the voodoo doll the whole race. That was the weirdest race I have ever called.
We were not letting you say a name anymore. We're like, you're not...
Yeah. the so-and-so car, you weren't even allowed to say the number or the driver. That was just,
But in fairness, you did call that, what was it, the Texas race, I think it was, where you said we're done wrecking? Bring the rest
Yeah.
away. So, hey, you get the credit where you deserve it. As we try it again, Pedro Mojica now leading.
Donaldson went low, didn't get it.
Pace cars have
Nelson Rivera slips a little bit. Couple of positions changing here and there, but for the most part, they round to the backstretch.
Ooh, Wesley scraping it.
Donaldson, yeah. He's doing a Darlington stripe in the desert.
The Phoenix pelt.
There's some sort of mystery to get down into that
Josh
corner.
Parker,
Every one
did
of
he
these.
save it? Parker saved it. He's down there in the infield.
Yeah.
Boy, he hit that transition. That car went for the inside wall of turn 1.
He's running the Justin Allgaier line down there next to the fence.
That was the line that ended a championship for Elliott Sadler a few years ago.
Yep.
Ooh, Calantoni got it.
Wow. Using every inch of the racetrack. What's cool is the upper lane is a real thing here. You can run side by side with another driver for a couple laps, bottom lane, top lane, and really just run your line the way you want to run it. Don't worry about the car underneath. Try and find the optimal amount of speed, and sometimes you get the pass, and sometimes you get past.
Ooh, Joey getting free. Joey.
Oop.
Oh, he's spinning.
That's a hard one to catch.
Oh, he saved it. Boy,
Caught
that
it.
car was
What
heading
a-
to the right. I'm like,
Wow.
uh-oh. What a save.
That was incredible.
Comstock just ran
That was a caution all day long.
It was waiting to happen. I mean, so I'm starting to notice this transition right here is starting to hurt more and more, it looks like. And I don't know if it's because the track is maybe heating up.
Tires should be the temperature now, though.
Oh, no, the track's
Right?
cooled down, actually. It's 94 now. There should be more grip in the track, you would think.
Yeah, the track tends to grip up as you go, especially as they put tires down, tire wear. You can see the groove is starting to darken some. Mojica, Comstock, Coleman, Jose, and Wesley Donaldson, your top 5. Donaldson up 14 positions from his starting spot. Doy Woods in 9th, up 11. Right behind him, Brian Macklin making his return to the top 10. He is running 10th, up 11.
Oh, there's
Well,
dust
they get
flying
every inch they can off of that corner, don't they?
Yes, they do. Oh, my gosh.
You can also swing up and just tap the wall, like plunk it some to help turn the car down in. You're just trying to get every inch of the racetrack. And one of the things we've not talked about, a feature that you see on a lot of the different racetracks, and this track, it pays dividends, is they come down the back straightaway. There's cones on the outside wall, 3, 2, 1. Same on the other side of the racetrack. And all the drivers, this place does lack some of those clues, some of those visual clues to where you let off. And you see them on the wall up here. 1, 2, 3. That's the reverse order, but
I know what you mean.
so where do you let off? Most drivers on cone number 2 start to apply the drag the brake, let the car turn down, and let off the gas on 1. But that's just one person's opinion.
I'm actually about between 2 and 3, actually. I'm one of them.
What's
I like to brake
fascinating
early.
is
Go ahead.
turn 3, when you turn in, not only do you have the stop point, where do you apply the brakes, where do you let off the throttle? I agree with you. Late in the run, it's between 3 and 2, right about here. But you turn down, try to hit this end of the wall, and you don't step on the gas till right here, where the start of the Geico is.
And
that'll swing you right up here to the cactus.
And that's because
I don't like
Apex is so
dropping on
tight.
the apron anymore.
No, that's because that Apex is so tight there. Remember, when they redid this track, they almost squeezed the radius of turn 3 and 4 now. So yeah, it's like you said, you're on the brake here, you're turning towards that wall, and it's like you're already Apex right there, and then you're rolling back off to get out to the wall, almost aiming at that red General Tire sign. And you said the apron, yeah, watch out, this thing's a bumpy one.
That, when I tried that this week, I didn't like that. The car always it did what Jatina's did. You could do it 4 or 5 times, and every once in a while, the car would not come back to the racetrack the right way. And only once or twice did I need to do a Jatina, and it scared the out of me, and I stopped doing it. I wouldn't drop down. And if you look at all these cars in front of them, there's only one. Who's that 2 up there? Wesley Donaldson, maybe?
Yeah.
He's dropping off, but everybody else is staying on the racetrack. And there's speed to be found if you drop down on that apron like that for some drivers, but most of them are not opting to do it.
You see the other side of Seth there as you watch him chase Nelson Rivera down. Gonna slide up the track there a little bit. And, you know, another thing, and I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but I had heard a rumor about this track that the more you went down there to that apron, it actually hurt your tires.
You know,
Like
I've
the
heard
wear.
that too, but can't get anybody to verify that.
Right.
That as you drop off the racetrack, it tends to scrub the tires. Nobody gave Jose that message. He's been making that work all night long here.
Now, does Jose
Running
sound like the guy
fourth
who
right now,
care?
trying to track down. It's been a really competitive race.
Yeah.
It's difficult to look at this because at any given point, somewhere in the field, you're seeing some challenges. Only 2 drivers finding massive problems. That is Jeff Ryan and Mike Kelly, both of them kind of out of this, down 14, 18 laps. Bobby Wetzel also had a huge hit. He's down 7 laps, but rest of the field on the lead lap right now.
And for Mike Kelly, unfortunately, a big hit in this championship run for him because he's already had issues at Charlotte and now this tonight. So he is going to be some 30-plus points likely back as we go next week to Homestead for race number 3. So everybody get Tommy Ryan into your fantasy Sim 500 lineups, if there was one.
Yeah, Mike, with the good news for Mike is he was sitting 3rd in points. So, but unfortunately for him, the guys right behind him are 1 point behind, then 2 point, then 3 point, whatever. Well, no, he's going to go down. He's going to circle the drain here for this one if they don't have a big incident. As there was one car on pit road I saw.
Oh, you know, I got Mike mixed up with Hudson. I thought he was down there with Hudson for some reason. So my apologies, Mike. I'm sure you'll yell at me in the race tonight. I'm kidding. Somebody's on pit road yet?
I thought I saw one car off on pit road
It's
there.
Wetzel. It's Wetzel. You're right.
Okay, there you go. Red car, yeah.
Sneakingly, quietly in the top 10. Remember Friday the 3rd, we talked earlier about those cars that were fast in the long run. I think this 77's definitely showed it. So he's got Campbell there behind him, the 28 of Doy Woods. A couple of old school paints, if you will. As the Kansas winner there,
Rusty
Campbell.
versus Allison.
Right.
It's good to see Rusty at the racetrack this weekend.
Rusty pretty happy about the Iowa Speedway getting that cup race next season. I know some friends of mine are looking at tickets to the event, it looks like. And they just announced that Knoxville is going to host some dirt races that week also. So you'll be able to, if you go to Iowa, go watch a full week of racing down at Knoxville and then come on up to the Speedway. I think it's like literally an hour separation. And then when you're there, there's a Greyhound horse track casino place like right down the road on I-80 that has a really good breakfast, by the way. Don't ask me how I know.
Wow. I was dreaming of going to the Daytona 500 in February, but I just bought full weekend complement tickets to the Coke 600. I've always wanted to go to Charlotte, and I'm happy to say that locked it in.
I will give you a food itinerary, and I will make sure you have a good week there. I know the area decently from having in-laws that live there for a little bit, and then obviously, and that kind of thing. So
my poor wife, I'm going to drag her to race shops and the Hall of Fame, and we're going to do Charlotte for a week, and she'll never talk to me again.
There you go.
I buy her a race to the Cup race, and she sits there and reads a novel the whole time. And every once in a while, she looks up and goes, "Is it over yet?"
Gosh, I think I might offend some people saying this. I don't think she's the only one. Yeah. I'll have to tell you about well, first off, I'll have to get you connected with Brian Wortman when you're down there so that he can show you around. But, yeah, no,
That's
plenty of great racing shops that you can check out in the area. And there's some good barbecue in the area. One particular place that has really good chicken.
Chicken.
Anyways, Pedro Mojica, by the way, 40 laps to go, leads by 1.1 over David Comstock now. Chad Coleman third. A Josh Parker update. Parker's worked his way back up to 15th after his spinneroonie. And he's had a couple other issues, but Josh just trying to salvage now what is unfortunately become a rough night now for Josh. I was about to say that he just...
Yeah, what was that?
That would have been the ultimate, like, okay, I'll shut up now moment. Trying to give the man a positive feedback, and he leaves, but he just
Blinked out for a while. Yeah, I saw the same thing. I was wondering if he was in trouble. I'll tell you, the driver who's not in trouble is Doy Woods. Up 13 and having an outstanding run here tonight in that Texaco Haviland number 28. Just, you know, every once in a while, some driver comes in and clicks with the racetrack, and he is on the march tonight, just quietly climbing. And, you know, one thing, I don't want to say this about Doy Woods, that right there, when you see the cars come off the corner, if they brush the wall, every once in a while, you just lose that closeness to the wall, and you go up and you bang the wall. You only need to hit it at the right angle with that right front, and you will cause wheel damage in this build, and you can potentially break a toe link. The longer the run goes, the more the car does not want to turn coming up off the corner. And when you see these drivers coming off of turn 2 really high to the backstretch, using all the racetrack, every once in a while somebody will lose track of that and go up and slap the wall, and we could find somebody in trouble here late in the going.
You do not want to see that. So Barbara Pinion has mentioned in chat over here on YouTube that you can bring you and your wife can come on over to Stanley County and look up Stony while you're in Charlotte. So
okay,
there you go. So you can add that.
She's gonna love me.
You swing out towards was it?
Are you going from race thing to race thing to race thing the whole week we're there?
You can go out to Asheville. You can go check out Robert Presley's hot dog stand.
That sounds like a blast.
Right, and then see what else. When are you going again? During the 600? Oh, you go to Millbridge during the week and watch some dirt racing.
I'd like to see that. Maybe the modifieds will be running Charlotte dirt track.
I'm sure
that would be cool.
I'm sure the Smart Tour will be somewhere down there because they usually run that's with Labonte and Newman. Those guys they usually are somewhere from South Carolina to Virginia. So.
Well, we'll go see Chad Coleman. He's down there somewhere.
He's in Georgia.
But he's hanging out sometimes, isn't he, with these guys?
Maybe. I know he does some stuff on at night, like on the weekends at I think it's Winder or something like that in Georgia. I don't know if he'll be doing that again next year, but which is over to the south of Brazelton where the Road Atlanta and stuff is, but that's over in like I said in Georgia. You go over there, that you might be a little too far out, like 4 hours.
Yeah, that's a little too far. I look at the race right now for these guys, and it's 30 to go. If you've been saving anything, it's time to mash the gas. Well, but you also don't want to screw something up, right? If you've gotten yourself up into a position where you're content with your night, don't screw it up now. But last 30 laps, no saving tires. It's giddy up time, and this is where, if you've run too hard, you start to slip back through. So let's see how the complexion of the race changes. We saw Jose Gonzalez. Well, earlier he had a good run, but right now he seems mired in fourth and not coming forward yet.
I'm looking at lap times right now, and I just threw them up on the board for those to see. And what I'm seeing is 2867s from Pedro, 74 Comstock, 73 Coleman. A lot of people right there in the 60, 70, 80, 90 range for Doy Woods. So I'm not seeing as wide of a gap of those drivers in lap times now. So I think a lot of them are almost pacing themselves at the same range or in the same range category, knowing that they got to use these tires to get to the finish unless a yellow comes out, which then let me plant the old Tyler Dalton strategy in you.
I think you're going to do it.
If a yellow comes out.
No, you need 4. I would not go 2.
Don't tell Tyler that, or Joe, or whoever else is willing to try it. Brandon Alfin, if he was in this league.
Well, you know, there is a strategy that if you, as we see side by side here with the 91 to the outside of the 26, you know, Pedro's down there, way down, and now it'll come back up.
Is that not scary?
Or
when you
not
see a
Pedro,
car coming
Jose.
back to you?
Sorry. That is scary, and you just got to say, okay, you know he's going to hold his line.
You hope.
You hope.
Oh,
They
caution,
get
Seth
away from
Foudy.
each other.
There we go. I think Seth was listening to us or something, said, well, hey, let me spin it out and see what happens. Caution is out. Seth, you're not supposed to listen to us. Your arm's not itching.
This does well for Brian Macklin. He's come all the way back to 11th, and on the short run, he seemed really fast. So this might open the door for a return to the top 10 and a recovery from a race that was challenging for him.
Macklin and Josh Parker, I think, going to get a break here. And was there contact with Rivera?
Was there? I don't know. It was really kind of...
Well, let's go back to pit stops here. I didn't have a good camera shot there, so we'll come back to it. As here comes the leaders.
This is going to bode well for Pedro as he's so far ahead of Comstock that he should be able to use that buffer even if he has a poor pit stop. I'm taking 4 here. Come on.
I'm taking 4 with you. So let's see, though, if anybody's going to try it. I'm looking over at the times on my telemetry here. If you see any times at the bottom go less than 10 seconds. I see 1. I see 2.
Tyler
I see 3.
did 4.
I see 2.
Tyler did 4.
I see Joe Hudson. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Joe Hudson stayed out. I see Anthony Calantoni as the only one. I thought Hudson was 1. But it looks like Anthony Calantoni is your 1-2 tire guy. And he didn't even get the lead off pit road, unfortunately.
So, you know, if there was inside 10 to go, I would take that risk because you might have a couple cautions that bring you to a greenway checker, and that would do well for you. But with this many laps, I'm afraid I would be afraid of being in a way is what I would be afraid of.
All right, let's see here as we watch Foudy. Rivera. These two have been battling for a good portion of this race here. You don't know. Foudy's lost the back end.
No, he just lost it. Yes, so I said I didn't think the 22 was near him. He was down on the apron. You have to wonder if it de-wedged the car. Good job on him getting it stopped before he backed it in the fence.
So, you know what this paint scheme reminds you of, this color combo? You got to go back if you're a wrestling fan from the 1990s and the old WCW days. There was a guy that wore that color combo as his outfit for when he wrestled. Let me go back to his car so you can see the color combo that I'm talking about. It was a guy named Glacier. And when I see the gray with the ice or the silver and I see what looks like is, I don't know if it's icicles or what there, the white, and then I see the blue, I totally get the Glacier look.
I just looked up what Glacier looks like and get it.
You know, I think he was brought into WCW to be like that Mortal Kombat character looking guy. Because if you look at his character, he looks like he'd totally be a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah, the silver hair highlights and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
See if I can real quickly get a photo for those watching
That's
like
pretty
who?
funny.
as we're getting ready to go back to green.
Mojica, Comstock, Coleman, Callan, Tony, Donaldson, Dalton, Ryan, Tommy Ryan, Doy Woods, Brian Macklin, Glenn Campbell, your top 10 for the restart here. Mix of Chevys and Fords with one Toyota of Brian Macklin in the mix. Gonzalez did not have a good pit stop. He's back to 11th.
Oof. Not what you need at this moment of the race.
Josh Parker in 13th. Joey G in 14th.
All right, so I got a photo loaded for you guys, but I'll show it after the restart. Here we go, back to green. And
That was a really weird
everybody
restart.
went to the apron.
They were so spread out.
That's probably a good thing. See if everybody can funnel off a turn 2 here. A couple cars getting loose. Everybody's good.
Yeah, everybody is pretty
Oh,
well
Macklin
behaved.
in the
You're up.
wall.
There you go,
Gonzalez.
Macklin in the wall. He's going to get tagged, and Macklin's going to scrub the right side all the way down.
Good move on his part to keep it up there. That could have been bad. Look at two-tire Callan Tony. Well, oh, they're wrecking in the back.
There's one.
Another car inside
Yeah.
the wall.
Is
And
that going to draw a caution?
Robert Friery.
Oh,
No
no.
caution. Yeah, we stay green.
That's going to drop him back to 21st.
Callan Tony with a slider on Chad Coleman. I did.
Every once in a while, you hit that combination where you change two tires, and oh my, it's fast.
Yeah, but for how long?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently long enough at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to last 22 laps. You better get all you can get out of that car.
He swung it up to the fence there, looking like a rock star.
Campbell, I think, got free. Over in the dog leg is Tommy trying to get to his outside there. All right, so since it looks like we've cleared ourselves of any quick yellows, let me throw the photo up. For those who, the Glacier reference, this is Glacier. For those who, he literally was brought in to be like, literally the Sub-Zero, if you will, of the wrestling company at that point. And it lasted all of like a couple years.
Just saw Chad Coleman bounce it off the wall in the backstretch. Light little brush, but did plug it.
Jatina making
Even
a pass.
those little hits that we talk about can cause damage to the car and take it a tenth off on
yeah.
a lap time.
Oh. I think he just lost
Got
me
the
for a second.
hi-ya
I think he just lost me for a second.
with his A6 Tiger boots. Sorry, just having a moment there
That's
for
okay.
that photograph you gave us.
Oh, caution out somewhere.
There's one on the
Scott Simley?
bottom of turn 2.
Yeah, it might have been Scott Simley because he just towed to pit road. So fifth caution. It is Scott Simley. And unfortunately, turn 2 has bit him again. He was right behind. Oh!
What the heck was that?
That's that. We were talking about that transition earlier.
That was rather weird, though. He was up on the racetrack, wasn't he?
He was, but he was up about a groove going through the dog leg there. And we got cars on pit road again. Did you see how the back end come around there?
Yeah. Yeah,
That looks
he did
like
not
more,
have a... Wow.
You know what that looks like to me, though? This isn't a good analogy, but it's like the best I can come up with off the top of my head. For those who have run the road race at Spa, the 24-hour race, there was times where there was a corner that's called Blanchemont. It's a sharp left-hander like that dog leg. And there were times in a GT car that if you turned the wheel too quickly and missed the entry, it would spin the car out. That's kind of what I see here. It's almost like you turned the car too late, too sharp, and spun the car out. And broke the bottle of Heine.
I mean, sometimes you come through a corner and you don't get that turn, to your point, fast enough, and you end up riding on the absolute traction of that right rear tire.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you lose it. I don't know that that's a common occurrence, though, up on the racetrack where the car does not hold traction through.
Well, your wheels
Sometimes you swing it here to the start finish line, and when you turn it down, but he's already
see how late he is
in
though
trouble.
turning?
Yeah.
Like he almost, like he should be, again, when you're in the dog leg, I mean, let's use the car in front of him for an example here. He needs to almost be following. You see the 14 going down already. He's going to the apron. But I mean, he does have a car to his inside.
Right
but look
here.
how late. He needs to be already turning here. And he turns late and the back end comes around.
Yeah, but it happened so quick.
It
It
did.
must have really surprised him.
Now, I will play this in here too. Look at the gear number. Maybe I was wrong about fifth gear.
I think 90% of the drivers are running in fourth.
Right. So I wonder if, I mean, I don't think it would because it's a lower
If you want to do tire wear and fuel savings, you could run in fifth, but
Right. Oh, you know what? I just backed it up and going full speed. I just changed my whole opinion. I think he gets spooked by Stoney being there. Watch how he kind of adjusts himself here.
could be. Could be thinking that 75 is going to come up and need more racetrack.
Mm-hmm. It almost looks like he starts to turn and then straightens himself back out and then goes in.
Well, whatever the case, that was not what I think he anticipated was going to happen there. And
So,
yeah,
all right.
that could be possible, but you don't know.
No, unfortunately. So here we go. Going to come to the green.
Galantoni's still up in third with those tires. Are you sure he took two?
According to this, he had a 9.7 second start stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're around 10 seconds. That tells me 2 tires. Now, we did have some cars come to pit road under that yellow. Josh Parker, Tommy Ryan, Glenn Campbell, Joey Jattina, Joe Hudson, Doug Sigmund, Brian Wortman. Brian Wortman had a 10-second stop, but spent 0.2 of a second on pit road. Figure that one out. As we go back racing.
Good restart for Tyler Dalton there from fifth. He's going to come up and jump into that fourth
Look
position.
at Anthony. Shoves David up the track and says, I'll take second, thank you.
Dalton's going to have third out of there.
Spinning is Josh Parker on the
Josh
pit
Parker.
road apron.
He's on the apron.
No caution.
If
Watch
he
out.
comes back to the racetrack, should be fine there.
Yeah, we're good. He's back on. I was worried about him hitting the tire barriers.
All that work he did. And look who's out front.
I mean, is there something here that I'm not catching? That, I mean, did he take 4 and I just don't know? Or
I don't know, but he's up on the wheel here and look to see if he could steal a win here.
I mean, is there no wear in the left side tires?
Well, we have no idea how he did taking care of the car prior to this run, so maybe the left sides were not showing a lot of wear. They didn't wear a lot. You were driving off the right side for sure this week.
I mean, maybe it's kind of like running one of those big block mods at the dirt tracks, you know, ones where you can run like the left front for like 7 straight races before you finally change it.
Joey Jattina running ninth. I don't want to call him out and make some bad karma for him, but
Yeah, Chad Coleman back there with him.
Seth Foudy comes to sixth there
Caution.
with that pack.
Joe Hudson
Oh, no.
has spun over. I thought I saw him, it showed him on pit road for a second, and I think it was more him just trying to catch the car, but he spins over here in turn 1 And we are at caution number 6. So all of a sudden, 10 becomes a possibility here. What happened to the old 51 here? Gets a good run on. Oh,
yeah, there you go.
There's that. Ooh, he tail whips the wall.
Knocks it down.
Trying to fight it.
That's what we talked about earlier. That was about as extreme as you get. When you come down to that apron, if you miss the transition, you could see how violently the car hops as he comes down across, and he just missed the turn in. You want to be down by the patch to the left. If you are further down the racetrack, the transition's too much and the car will not hold. Look out for the cone! Oh!
So let me ask this.
He tagged it pretty hard with that left rear there.
Is this one of those, Kev, where he's turning the wheel maybe too much when he hits that transition just from trying to turn the car?
Washed up a little too far here. Look how high he is.
Right, but
they decided he wanted to go to the apron and he was too late. He needed to be down the racetrack more.
Not straight though, is what I'm talking about. Like, see how he's not straight going down to it?
Yeah, I mean, if you back that up a little bit and look, you could see that as he comes off the racetrack, the front end physically goes in the air. And if you look to the right, you'll see the patch that I'm talking about. You want to be down on the corner. Car's in the air right there, bouncing. You want to be back in that corner where the patch is. You only need to be about car length higher than that corner. If you're further out, this is what's going to happen. How did he miss the cone?
He did miss it. I think it's just invisible.
He thwacked that left rear. I'm wondering if he broke a toe link.
I sure hope not. He is not on pit road. I mean, he got the damage fixed or whatever, but I did notice that Doy Woods, Seth Fowdy, and Nelson Rivera came in under that caution. So that might be a set of tires those guys put on to go to the finish of this race. You know what?
Counting on multiple...
We haven't talked to anybody all night. So, shall we... We haven't done this one in a little bit here. Let me go throw the oh, this is the perfect time to catch him. He's I thought he was biting his nails or something. Let's get Seth up here, and let's ask him the question. As I've got him in the middle of talking. Hello, Seth. Did somebody come in and get Mr. Feelgoods there?
I did, yeah, man. I'm hoping as crazy as these restarts are and stuff like that, that maybe some guys will wad it up and I can be in a good position maybe for like a real late caution here. So that was kind of the plan. I know I was running up front. It was a risky one, but, you know, it's a chance you got to take sometime. So I'm not in the points, and you never know. Could pay off, and I could win this thing, or could go the other way and, you know, just get maybe a half-decent finish or something out of it.
So, as you know, I like to kind of heckle you a little bit when I see you on camera, and I'm like, all right, I noticed this and noticed that. Is there any reason for the Jeffrey Earnhardt maybe look there that you got with the stash and stuff?
It's funny because people tell me all the time I look like Dale Earnhardt and stuff like that. I don't know. You know, the stash is coming back, man. So I put it on. My wife kind of likes it, and you know, it's been working for me. So yeah.
Well, I must ask you a question, but I'll shave it for later. Good luck on the restart.
There we go. Thank you.
There's my bad puns. Anyways, all right. Let's get him to his channel, and he's hanging out with the guys in the Tier 1 Heroes. Getting them wheels warmed up. Boy, if he sends it like Dale, he can drive it like Dale here in a second. So we come to the restart here with 5 laps to go.
How many drivers going to go to the apron here?
I might just stay on the track just to stay away from everybody. Everybody. You see Coleman? Coleman stayed up against the outside wall. It's like,
it's go time.
Well, they always say go where they're not.
Yeah.
Off to 5 laps to go. Here comes Coleman.
Here comes Comstock. 91 should hold the 13 down as best he can here.
They may have a little bumping.
Now you see how much the 13 gain going down that track position there, especially when the tires are cooled off. You got the traction. The car really runs off there, and he was able to get a car length as they're beating and banging off of each other in the back there.
The one thing I caught a second ago, and I want to see if I see it again here before I say a word, is out of that 19, who's, by the way, up to third quietly, I thought I saw Tyler Schiff coming off 4. Because he was telling me earlier you can't go down to third.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
3 laps to go. Mojica trying to go 2 for 2. Tony's right there with him. Trying to carry the Giants paint scheme to something positive anymore.
Less aggressive on the 13 that time around.
Oh, Joey about got into Tommy.
Joey.
Oh,
The way looking low.
oh, no.
Oh boy, these guys are elbows up
Caution.
back here.
Jatina.
Yep.
And
You could just see that building out of turn 2 over there.
hello, overtime.
Foudy to 11th. I can only imagine the lashing somebody's getting.
Well, and this is
With
where
Joey right now.
As Glenn Campbell, by the way, is taking his car behind the wall. The one thing I saw there from Joey is, you know, he got loose or he got close to Tommy right here, and he obviously gets on the brakes to not hit him. This is actually the previous lap. Sorry. Let's watch here though for a second. I'll try to explain it here. He tries to stay off Tommy. He's trying to be the nice, clean guy, and you know, right there, about runs where Chad, and then it hits Tommy almost. So, you know, lives on another
Tommy
day.
saw him coming.
Right. So then you come down here to turn 1. He's almost going to hit Tommy. And then all of a sudden, here comes the 28 of Doy Woods to his inside, and he kind of gets spooked, I think, here. Watch. He almost hits Tommy. Gets loose. Here comes Doy. Oh, crap. I got to move up now. There's Tommy again. And then now he's just like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. He's wrecking at that moment. I promise you, he's wrecking somewhere.
Yeah.
There he is.
It's hard to say what happened if we can get a view from the back here and
Stony
see.
Benfield got some damage.
Yeah, there were a couple other cars involved there, and I think they just all squeezed together and ran out. There you go.
Yeah, so here he just slides up into Tommy. Tommy's got a shallow. Tommy doesn't know Doy's down here to his inside. So there's contact. Here comes Parker that, you know, not lifting at this moment because you're trying to get what you can get.
Yeah, okay.
There's the contact with Stoney. Also, Stoney gets the outside wall, and Rivera's like, excuse me, that didn't work. And then there's Hudson, and here comes Jose, and
That's a left ball in the corner pocket.
how about
Moment there.
There's Foudy. Oh, by the way.
Driving right by. Comes up to 11th. Yeah, Joey's car looked unsettled all the way through there. And, you know, when you see a opportunity, you're going to try and squeeze as much as you can out of it with 10 to go. So nobody's going to lift in that situation.
Yeah, and it's one of those where Joey's trying to be respectful of others, and he's trying not to hit them. And then sometimes by doing that, you put yourself in a precarious position, and that's what happens.
Tell you, Jose Gonzalez, he did an outstanding job just kind of having situational awareness on the outside and out against the wall looking for the hole, shot the gap, and he ends up in 12th right now. Doug Sigmund running back there in 13th too, having a good run up 10 positions from his starting spot. Gerald Livingston tagged right in there behind him for a top 15.
So the usual overtime rules, of course, you start the race on green, get to the white flag. If not, we try it again to get 2 attempts. As Mojica looks to go 2 for 2 in this championship round of 5. 5 races, 10 drivers going for a championship.
And as we get ready to roll through to the final laps of this thing, we start to look at who's having a bad night here. Glenn Campbell back to 19th. Simley, who was fast in the beginning, 21st. Brian Macklin, 23rd. Mike Kelly, 25th. From a point championship standpoint, a couple of top contenders going to have a bad night coming out of here at Phoenix.
Yeah, Mike Kelly's out on track, and unfortunately, he is 24 laps behind anyone else. So the only thing he can gain at this point in this race is incident points. and I guess knowledge of the track.
Well, will Pedro be able to put this thing away? Will Cal and Tony sneak one in here? Will Tyler Dalton, who's sitting there in third, find a way by?
If you're Pedro,
It's not over yet.
You're launching early if you're Pedro here. You've got the inside radius here.
Restart gain and boom. He got a great launch.
Yes, he did. As soon as you get in that restart zone, pound it. Down to turn one, you see them 2-3 wide. As Tyler Dalton slides up there, is Comstock there, Wesley Donaldson, and caution is back out. As Doy Woods is in the outside wall.
There might be another car over there.
I think it's Nelson Rivera that is down there. Sure is.
'51 of Joe Hudson maybe got a piece of that.
Let's roll the beautiful bean footage and see what happens here. Get a hornet's nest back here. Oh, Hudson loses the back end. So does Stoney. Was oil on the track? Jatine almost spins.
Wow. That was really strange, wasn't it?
Everybody
did
lost
look
their
like, yeah. Everybody lose your mind. I don't really can't explain that. Was it just coming up off the apron?
Well, there was almost contact back there at Sigmund.
That is the wildest thing. 3 cars
I mean,
running
literally,
3 different grooves. I would have been convinced somebody poured oil on the racetrack.
Here's what I think happened, and I mean this is a joke. The Impractical Jokers are probably here, and they cued the microphone and said, all right, I want you guys to drive in there and hit the brakes at the last second. For those who don't know that show, it's really hilarious. So we get 3 or 4 guys in there just wipe themselves out. Gonzalez nowhere to go.
He didn't clean them out that time.
Mike Kelly almost got in that wreck. What did I just say a second ago?
He was riding around in the back and just locked it down. Look, he's sitting there on the racetrack. Oh no, that's Brian Wortman.
I said the only thing Mike Kelly could get in this is 4 incident points, and he about pulled it off. Oh my God.
That goes down to one of the strangest things. How they both.
Well, he's already driving a half modified. Oh, door bang there with Rivera and Sigmund.
Drive through the smoke. I know you can make it. That's what that was. Because you know from his windshield he couldn't see anything.
Pretty much.
Oh, well, that's what that car sounds like when it goes by with no hood.
Almost sounds like they are
Headers are bent and smashed.
very.
That was crazy. Well, rack 'em and stack 'em. Here we go again. Mojica, Calantoni, Dalton, Comstock, Donaldson, Coleman, Tommy Ryan, Seth Foudy, up to 8th, by the way, Stoney Benfield, and Joey Jatina in 10th. So Joey somehow shines the light out of that one. He just wants a top 10, I'm sure of it. If you're the 58 of Mojica, you're like, I know I had this already. What are we doing here? Can we just please? Can we please just get this done?
Yeah, I'm going early because here's the thing. He's on the inside lane. Shortest radius in a corner. The inside lane. So you get into that Geico restart zone, you take off. And you get to the bottom and go as low as you can go.
He had a full car length.
Yeah. That's what you do here. And if you're Calantoni, you almost throw a Hail Mary here and just pray that you know that spot on the track. And you just try to nail it and hope if Pedro doesn't go, then, well, you get to explain to the people after the race. But it's, I mean, what are you losing here at this moment?
Well, this has been a rather interesting shakeup at the end, and let's see where it takes us now.
as Pedro launches.
Everybody down to the apron one more time.
And let's see who goes sliding into turn 1 and 2 here. Oh, there goes
Tyler,
Calentonian
oh,
and
no.
Dalton into wrecking.
Oh, no.
Comstock. And we're still green. And now the
Oh,
51, now
there's
they're
no
wrecking
way.
even more.
That is a junk pile over there. And by a couple more incident points.
Parker Break Weekly here as Mojica is going to take the yellow.
And you know that Tyler and they're in the same channel, Tyler and Calentoni, and you can imagine the conversation going on there.
Oh, and by the way, Calentoni's in Joyzy. So,
Joyzy boy.
so,
Noisy Joyzy.
I mean, there's a certain word that starts with an F and ends with fire truck.
Yeah.
That probably is coming out. For those who want to use that as a joke, you can. Go up and say, hey, what starts with an F and ends with UCK? Fire truck.
Mother Fletcher.
As Pedro Mojica, 9th caution, ends up being the one that gets him his 9th win of the season, while the 9 is pushing Johnson. Oh,
Wow.
man. Mojica wins again, 2 for 2 in the championship 5. As he just continues to put a statement down here in this championship battle.
Seth Fowley gets a top five.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Stoney Benfield 7th. Brian Wortman gets an 8th.
Yeah, biggest loser there is David Comstock dropped to 11th.
11th.
Calentoni to 13th.
That actually might be your one-upper there.
That's got to sting a little bit.
Tried that 2-tire strategy, and it did all... Uh-oh. Is Comstock waiting on somebody? Oh, and Calentoni just... Well...
Looked it.
just... Yeah, that's one way to do it on pit road. Watch the 84 come over here. Oh, jeez. Wow.
Oh, boys.
Let's go back to the wreck real quickly as we want... obviously, Pedro's celebrating, so let's go to the restart. Let's see, did Tyler just go in deep here?
He just lost it. And it almost feels like, yeah, cleaned him out. 13 goes for the spin cycle. I thought the 84 was going to be okay until he hooked it right there. Tyler's loose right there. You
Yep.
could see it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Here's the 84. Oh, there's a little tag that got him around.
Oh,
Okay.
and oh, and oh, and
Oh,
oh, and
vicious
oh.
hit.
Arca braking. Well, in fairness,
Well-
we were green, so I guess you can't call it that.
Vicious hit by Joe Hudson there.
Was this the race earlier this year where Pedro or somebody spun over here in 1 and 2 and there was no caution? He spun in the middle of the pack? Anyways, I'm noticing this as I'm
Maybe.
paused here. Look back here with Rivera and them.
Just 3 wide.
Sigmund's spinning already right there, it looks like. Let's continue. Who was I looking for? It was Mike Kelly. Yeah, see, there's Sigmund wrecking back here.
Yeah. Yeah, Sigmund was.
There's Stoney into the wall. Mike goes up in a wall on the brakes here. Here comes Rivera up the track.
This is where everybody piled in the 51 did his pirouette. Drive around. I think I'm good. I think I'm gonna be okay.
Problem is, here
Yeah,
comes...
I'm going.
Here comes...
I'm
wait,
okay.
Where'd he come
Wait.
from?
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Oh, no.
Yeah, I said it.
Oh,
I'll
no.
say it again. The only thing Mike Kelly had to gain tonight was the incident points. Hey, for
Number
effort,
of
he tried.
laps.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. But
He ran all the
I say that
laps.
jokingly, obviously. He did what he had to do. So, All right, let's go and take a look at our finishing order here. Pedro got to do some donuts.
Holy cow.
No kidding on this one. We missed the 10 cautions by 1 caution, so shout out to me for saying mid-race, hey, we had 10 cautions and we have 0 right now.
Mm-hmm. Nicely done.
Thank you. So let's... I'm so lost. Here we go with the results. Mojica wins it by 4/10, actually under caution over Wesley Donaldson, Tommy Ryan. Remember that whole everybody starting up front in the playoffs thing?
Mm-hmm.
How about 2 playoff drivers in the top 10? Oh, I'm sorry, there are actually a couple more. Chad Coleman. For some reason, it doesn't show the playoff guys, all of them. Coleman finishes 4th behind Tommy Ryan. Seth Foudy 5th. Gonzalez, Benfield, Wortman. Joey Jatina gets a 9th. He needed that when it comes to the playoffs. Yeah. Tyler Dalton 10th. David Comstock, Doy Woods. Anthony Calantoni 13th. Doug Sigmund 14th. Gerald Livingston, Nelson Rivera, Joe Hudson, Josh Parker. Finishing in the 18th position, Bobby Wetzel 19th, 20th to Glenn Campbell. 21st, Scott Simley, Brian Macklin 22nd, Robert Fryery 23rd, Jeff Ryan 24th, Mike Kelly 25th, and unfortunately, last place finisher here at Phoenix. As we talk to, I should say, the top 3 finishers here. Tommy Ryan survives and ends up in the 3rd position here tonight as Tommy continues to be arguably the best of the rest this season, as he did not make the playoffs, as he didn't make enough starts, but he has come out here and won some races and top 5 to almost every playoff race so far this season. And Tommy, somehow here you got that Northern Tool car through the mayhem at the finish here. So shall we say you had the tools to get to the finish?
Yeah, I kept shovels in the car to keep digging.
Keep digging, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a mess. I forget where I had made it up to in the long run. I'm typically not that good here, but just got lucky there at the end. I had some tires and avoided some stuff, and here we are.
Just seemed like the. Go ahead.
That was all I could really say. I didn't deserve 3rd. I wasn't that quick. I just inherited all that.
Hey, sometimes less is more, but you went and you had those tires at the end of the race. Pitted at lap 151 there, so you used them for the last couple of laps there. I'm sorry, 151. That's how many laps we finished. So you pitted right before that. Got the tires that you needed or whatever and just tried to pluck positions as much as you could. And I guess it just worked out, huh?
Yeah, it's what's funny is, you put tires on, you feel like you can drive it harder. But when I try to drive it harder, I end up, getting the car out of shape, pushing, doing something stupid. And I just don't have the speed overall to run with Pedro and those guys. I mean, I was with them, but I can't pass them. But, other than that, I mean, it was a fun race up until then. The thing was a whole lot of fun to drive there with the old tires. It was, you just got to be real careful about how you enter the corner. You can get it loose, and then you get to the center if you got a bunch of wheel in it, and then you're just driving off the rear tires, exiting, especially off turn 2.
Yeah, it just looked like it was one of those deals where a lot of loose in, a lot of tight center, loose off, and just seemed like a lot of braking going into the corners was causing some of the snap loose.
Oh yeah, I was constantly playing with brake bias, trying to dial it in to get me comfortable where I could charge the corner and not get it real pissed off. So that was the hardest thing to do. And then it was funny, the clouds were coming over and the track was, the way the track was looking throughout the windshield was hard because, I was judging a lot of my line off the different seams, and sometimes the track would look kind of washed out and I couldn't tell where the hell I was. So it was an adventure, man, the whole night.
Well, great job tonight, man. Congratulations, and way to dig, of course, using the Northern Tool shovels and calling 811 before you did all that. But obviously you did your job tonight, and send some shouts whoever you like to.
Yeah, obviously Northern Tool. Black Friday's coming up, man. We're going to have some good sales on the website. And obviously, man, if you're going to buy a shovel, make sure you call 811 before you go out there and start digging.
You betcha. Great job tonight, man. And Homestead, I was going to say if there was a fantasy league, Maybe you'd be the guy to watch here next week.
I don't. No, I'm not. I'm not a big fan of that place either. It hasn't been a fan of mine. But I'm just still trying to learn this car. I'm not a big fan of it, like I said the other week, and it's hard. I'm not gonna say it's hard to drive. It's just so unpredictable that you just don't. You can't find that edge. When you think you found it for about 5 laps, and then the edge is completely moved. So it's it's hard to drive.
So what did we get out of that right there, Joe? Or Kev, sorry.
What did we get? We
Yeah.
we got
I got
a
head
lot
games
of
right there is
interesting
what I
little
got.
tidbits.
I got head games
I
right
I
there.
agree the car is hard to drive, but the clouds and the whatever, I can so identify with the fact of trying to stay with the track markers and hit your line and use the right rear versus right front turning in and all of that. There was a lot more complexity in this race than we could see from our vantage point, and I have to say that just makes it all the more challenging to run this racetrack.
Now, what I got out of that is
Yeah.
Tommy saying, "Yep, I've got the field covered next week. I'll see you in victory lane." That's what I got out
I
of that.
would.
So, all right, nice job, man.
Thanks, guys. See y'all.
You too, buddy. Tommy Ryan finishing in the third position, as he did a great job. Come on, Kev. We know how this works. Gonna struggle on a track over the worn out surface? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, next week is going to be a long run track, and 99 is always stout when we get
Right.
there.
See where
Whether
I'm
he's
going with
played
it?
possum or not, I hear you.
All right. Let's get that second place finisher, which is Mr. Wesley Donaldson. I know he's going to be probably pretty happy to talk to you. WBD Diecast is he finishes in the second position tonight, and I think he left an emblem plenty of times over in that turn 2 wall, but we'll let you talk to him about that.
Yeah, we were watching that car of yours, Wesley, scrape the outside wall on occasion, but here you are, up all those positions to come away with the second place finish tonight. How did you make that work?
It definitely wasn't easy. Yeah, I definitely hit the wall a few times too. And that's kind of become a running joke at this point that I get in the wall quite a bit, but not hitting it hard enough that it matters, I guess. But yeah, it was I felt like I had a lot of good practice from running on Thursday. Ran really well that day for the goat race, and just the track was really different. It was a lot cooler today, so I just kind of like I was shifting more than what I was on Thursday, and just kind of avoiding carnage and just kept working my way up slowly. But it was really hard to pass either way. So you just had to like get spots on restarts. Like I had one restart, I think I got like 4 or 5 spots on, but just kept it clean for the most part, other than a few scrapes, and found my way up there.
How was the car into the racetrack? We saw drivers. It looked almost like it was unpredictable. They just turned down in the corner, and next thing you know, they were sideways, almost like somebody poured oil across the racetrack.
Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, earlier in the race, it was pushing quite a bit, a lot more than it was when we ran it on Thursday. And then kind of later in the race, like you'd almost like you get under braking into the corner, and it would just like slide randomly. Like it wasn't like a crazy like lose control type thing, but it was sliding. eh, I don't know. It was really odd under braking
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's what it looked like. It just looked like all of a sudden the car was drifting across the racetrack, almost like a drift car.
And even on that like last restart, like I think every single one of us up there was sliding, other than maybe like Pedro. I don't know who behind us, but I was sliding up. I was probably going to hit the 13 anyway, but Tyler and Anthony were sliding, so I I didn't know what to expect.
Can you talk about using the apron, especially across the start-finish line, and whether or not that was a good place to go tonight?
I for me it was very like pick and choose. There's a definitely risk involved anytime you go down there, because you want to preferably go down back by like the start finish line area. If you're going down too much later, you run the risk of spinning. And for me, during like a green flag run, I was really trying not to go down there. But on those restarts, just being able to time it, pull down right at the line there, it felt pretty stable. And that's how, I mean, like I said, between that one restart where I got 4 or 5 and a few other restarts, I gained a few spots that way. So that was, without going down there, I don't think I would have got up to the front.
Yeah, on the restart, you're not carrying as much speed, so it seems a little more stable to go down there. But the next lap, it seems treachery. Well, second place, get to talk to us again here this year as the season winds down and we head to Homestead next week. But coming out of Phoenix, boy, I tell you, that's a pretty good effort tonight, given as much extracurricular activity as we saw tonight. You got to be happy with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And kind of wanted to prove myself after getting knocked out of the playoffs there, but it it was just just a great race for me overall. It proves that I deserve to be running up front, and hopefully next season I'm not sitting here on the outside looking in.
Yeah, certainly your efforts from the middle of the season on have been recognized, and we're looking forward to you being a strong contender for the rest of this year, let alone into next year. Who do you want to give a shout out to, Wesley, as you roll the night out of here tonight at Phoenix?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody here at Sim500 that helps put this stuff on, all the other admins. Thanks to NC811 for sponsoring the series. It's a big help to the league here. Thanks to you guys for putting on these broadcasts every week. Love going back and watching them. Shout out to my team, BPPC Motorsports. My spotter was back on the booth for the first time in about a month, so that was really helpful, especially on those restarts going through that dog leg. And then shout out to the Mafia too, since I spend a lot of time up there, kind of tinkering before the race and getting faster. And then last, to my Instagram page, WBD Diecast, where I make custom diecasts.
I saw one of your diecasts for Tyler's car. Amazing. But I have to say, just in closing, was your spotter yelling at you all night? It must have been rather active in trying to call this race.
I mean, he was talking a lot. I can't say yelling. It wasn't too crazy. Maybe a few moments here and there, but I don't think I would have got through some of those scenarios with him being like, okay, you got a lane here or like 3 lanes here. But yeah, it with the in-game spotter, there'd have been no chance.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, Wesley, congratulations on a second place finish, and we'll see you next week when we get into Homestead.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
A lot of interesting things in that, Chris, as you talked about the way the car raced, and yeah, pretty interesting. I do think it's not very common that these drivers have spotters, but I can only imagine how much dividend that paid tonight.
Oh, and I bring it up a lot of the times, how a live spotter does so many different things that the iRacing or even a spotter in an app can do. In with that dog leg the way it is, and different tracks like that, obviously can pay dividends. Auto Club's front straightaway. I mean, there's so many different tracks, but a man that seems to win at all those tracks is Pedro Mojica, and I got him now as 9 wins this season now on the Cup side of things. I remember it was roughly like 2 weeks ago we were talking, would you get win the battle with you, Josh, and Comstock, and now I think you've already put the nail in the coffin on that battle. Now you got 3 more weeks, and you could potentially put the nail in the coffin here for this championship. But these first 2 weeks, a pretty good statement.
Yeah, Chris, it really has been. Golly, it's been an amazing 2 weeks, which is what you need. That was the mindset I had coming into the final round. Was got to come in and win all the races, right. Honestly. Just because the competition, man. I know I got a lot of wins right now in Monday, but dude, like I'm telling you, these guys they keep me on my toes, right? Like, let's just go talk about the race. Like the first half of this race, I maybe would have been lucky to get a top 10 or a top 5. Just didn't do quite a good job in qualifying, so that kind of hurt. Track position was kind of key there during the race, and then the start of the race, I about wrecked on the apron, cutting it. So instead of being 5th, I fell back to 7th. So I might as well have started 7th. So I just had to be methodical, try to save tires, not drive over my head, which I kind of worked out. And I got to 3rd. I got to David, or I got to 4th, and then I got to David, and I just got really tight in dirty air, and then I just kind of got stuck behind him about half a second. And I mean, I was going to probably pit around 70, 69, 70, just kind of depending. And I mean, dude, I don't even know if I could have held off Tommy. I think Tommy was right there on me. Glenn Campbell was coming, and maybe a handful of other guys were just way better than me on the long run there. So honestly, that yellow saved me in the middle of the run. Kind of just helped reset. Did a little strategy and whatnot, and we were able to. The car was just hooked up that last, really the last half of the race. Um, and we were able to get the track position quick, which I was a little surprised. I mean, I guess honestly, was it we missed the wreck with Josh, which that was almost a game changer for us. I don't know if you had a camera on me, but
We watched.
when I missed Josh, I was turning hard left, and when I went to correct back to the right, the steering practically went dead, and I knew like it was about to snap. And then when it was like in that moment, I slammed the brakes and brake saved it, and that honestly saved our race because we were gonna go straight to the right, head on into the wall. If I didn't do that, so yeah, I'm just thankful that that worked out the way it did. Missing Josh, not getting caught up in the wreck, and not wrecking myself when I was avoiding it. So that was pretty intense. And then yeah, after that, it was just like I got the lead pretty quick, and then just managing the gap, managing the pace, and then there at the end, just all the yellows. It just gets a little nerve-wracking because you got multiple restarts. Guys are kind of trying to figure out what you're doing, and you just don't want to give them an opportunity to get into your bumper or anything. So just had to be solid on all the restarts, which we were able to do, and just survive. And yeah, come home with another win, which, like you said, it's really really helpful moving forward.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, all that kind of helped you out, but I want to go back to the early part of the race because you talked about how you felt lucky, to use your words there, to be in the top 10. And I obviously maybe giving you too much credit because I mean, let's face it, you deserve it. Um, I'm sitting back here thinking, okay, he's probably pacing himself to lap 70, hence why he's about 4 seconds back from Josh and from Comstock and those guys up there. Was that the case, or was it because you were so far back from making the mistakes at the beginning that you were just trying to catch up as far as you could get to?
Yeah, half and half, I would
Okay.
say. Um, I mean, we were pacing there just because it's like, well, I'm not gonna drive through the field and kill my tires, so let me save. And I think that was working. It's just we got caught up there with Mike Kelly and Chad Coleman. There, we were just all battling hard, and with all that going on, we lost, I don't know, 2-3 seconds to David and Josh. So by the time I got all that, it was just I was so far back. So then it kind of was like, well, crap, I got to kind of get some of that back. But on top of that, he saved his tires really good that first run. And he was right there on me. So it was like I'll just let him go because he had been looking a
Right.
couple times, and I just let him go and go chase those guys down, and I just try to follow him up there. And I mean, we were able to get to David, but then it's like as soon as I got to him, it just was plowing tight in traffic and couldn't really do anything. So then it was just kind of like hang on and try to get as close to 70 as possible without losing any more positions. But yeah, I'd say it was a little bit of both at the beginning of the race.
Well, great job tonight, man. Welcome to Victory Lane for the. You ready for this number? 23rd time you've talked in Victory Lane between Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll take that. Yeah, it's been an incredible year, to be honest. Like I said, I mean, it's a lot of wins, but it's been tough, man. Like these guys keep me on my tippy toes every week, because these guys are good, man. You're off just a little bit, like you're barely hanging on to the top five or just barely hanging on to the top 10. So you just gotta always be prepared mentally and whatnot for these races, and then you also you need a little luck. Um, so far it seems like we've had that, so hopefully we keep that for 3 more weeks.
Well, great job tonight, man. Send some shout outs whoever you like to.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate you and Kevin, Captain Esports, for putting on the broadcast. Um, all the admins at Sim500, appreciate everything they do. Glenn Campbell, Trans Service Logistics, everything they've given me this opportunity. Appreciate him. Without Glenn, I probably wouldn't even be running this Monday series. So he helped foot the bill. So appreciate it, Glenn. Appreciate Transservice. Glad to be representing you guys. What else? Max Graphics for painting the car. Appreciate them. All the guys on Team Name. We were all running good. Just unfortunate there at the end, just how the yellows fell and just circumstances. Just a lot of the guys that had good runs ended up getting caught up in wrecks. But overall, we had the pace tonight. And then, yeah, just appreciate the family for letting me come down and hang out and have fun for a couple hours.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight. Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Oh, and then NC811. Appreciate them. Appreciate the big boss, big sponsor, for everything they do for the league and whatnot.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight.
I appreciate it, guys.
You too. Pedro Mojica, the winner tonight, 9th time this season. And as I kind of hit him with that little number there, 23rd time on Sunday and Mondays this season.
It's a crazy stat.
Well, imagine the other, I think he does Wednesdays sometimes or whatever, but needless to say, man, that's did his part. Saw Tyler messaged over in chat, by the way, said wheel hopped, it got loose. So, absolutely feel bad there, but accidents happen. Unfortunately, though, a lot of people were involved in that, and it affected the way the race ended. But it wouldn't be a playoff race if it didn't have drama, and that's what we had here at Phoenix here tonight. Of course, first half of the race pretty much caution free, and then seemed like we get that caution, and then we'd get like a series of 2 or 3, then we'd go green for a while, then another 2 or 3, then green again, and another 2 or 3, and then the finish, obviously, of the race. But the rest of this way here, going to get interesting on the schedule, because I know next week, for instance, we go to the Homestead Miami Speedway, and that is, I could almost go out on a limb right now, on a limb and say, hey, that race is going caution free. That's just how good these guys are at Homestead. But either way, that's going to be a fun race. And then to the Iowa Speedway after Thanksgiving week off. And then we go to Vegas. So in December. Yeah. Oh, by the way. December. Where, by the way, the average temperature in Vegas in December, I think, is like still 120 or something like that. But anyways, should be fun. But no, in all seriousness, looking forward to what's coming up here these next 4 weeks, as again, that's counting that Thanksgiving week we have off, as we wrap up the Monday night series, which I feel like just started a month ago. So it's been a lot of fun to be a part of this season, and looking forward to these last 3 weeks. Kev, safe travels. We didn't let the secret out, by the way. He's actually not even
rider.
He's not even watching he's not even in the race session. He's literally using all the technology I sent him to watch this race tonight. So he's literally, when they say a remote broadcast, he is on a remote broadcast in Florida. So
did they call that when you were down at Florida?
You can call it anything. Florida, Florida.
Florida.
The southern part of the
enjoying a little bit of the sunshine down here
in a different
Florida,
country,
but,
if you will.
Really wanted to enjoy this race tonight. And one thing I take away from Pedro, he talks about being lucky. And you want to be lucky, better lucky than good, but he's both. And he's just unstoppable this season with all those wins and the skill and prowess he's shown. I think these guys have got to do something to unhinge him, because he has been on kill the last couple of weeks, and I see no signs of stopping. So
there's only one way you're going to unhinge him, and I'm just going to put it out there like this. It will not be professional at all to do. I'm going to leave it at that.
I tell you, you look at Chad Coleman, though.
Leave it at that.
Chad Coleman's having a good run. He's only 13 points back.
Yeah.
After tonight's, Tyler salvaged something. So from that standpoint, they're still within knocking distance. Nelson Rivera running 5th right now after tonight's tally. So, one or two bad little chinks for a couple of these guys. You never know what's going to happen, and this could become a dogfight to the end.
Let me ask you this: is it only the top 4 left right now?
You just don't know. I mean, the thing is, if you had 1 race left or 2 races, I'd say that. But with 3 races, that's 3 chances for someone to have a problem. And I would not be surprised if anyone in this top 4 came out of the last number of races unscathed, and that includes Pedro. I don't want to put it on him. His luck has been outstanding. His skill has been outstanding, but one little slip, one bad night. Look at
Mike Kelly.
the Mike Kelly incident tonight.
Yeah.
Finished last. No chance to recover. And I'm telling you that there are tight confines at Iowa Speedway. That would be the first place I'd want to get past if I'm Pedro. I need to get past Iowa and come with a commanding lead into Las Vegas where I could just kind of protect myself. I'd be a little bit nervous about that.
I agree, 100%. I think it's well said. And
I don't
think-
want him to hear all this that I'm saying because he's
Oh.
been in command of his seasons all season long, so he's got no reason. But we know, right? Racing is a fickle beast.
Yeah. No, and it's a realistic thing to say, but I think you can use Mike Kelly as the example right here. This 36-point deficit I talked about a little bit ago, about the ratio points of you only have 25 cars in a field. And obviously in math, in any kind of sport, you lose points easier than you gain points. So you see Mike, he didn't lose too many points. But when there's only 25 cars or whatever in the field, that 36 becomes a pretty big number.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, yeah, so we'll go from there. Well, let's go to Homestead next week. Speaking of Florida, stay down there. I'll be down in a little bit. And let's go have some fun. But be safe on your trip and not too many mojitos.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Not too many,
Attaboy.
but just enough.
There you go. Thanks, Kevin England, for, of course, being with us here this evening on his vacation. Didn't need to do that, but that's the kind of guy he is. So we're going to head out and enjoy the rest of your Monday night, and we'll see you next Monday from Homestead. And remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya!
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted